Better be good.
Join me in a minute of prayer.
Clock though, right?
12:55, sir. Dear Lord, thank you for what you do with us through Rotary. Please bless the hands that made this food today. May it be nourishment to our bodies. And a little special blessing on our speaker. Take time out of his schedule to come and speak with us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our four-way test. First,
Is the truth.
second,
Is fair to all concerned.
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships.
fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you. Barb's team 8 was supposed to do the prayer and pledge, but she had a busy weekend, so we went and took care of it for her. So, thanks. How did it go at the flappers and flapjacks? And I'll get to you, Sean, in just a moment.
No worries. Let's hear about flappers and flapjacks.
It was a little bit of a challenge learning experience, let's put it that way, on Friday night. However, on Saturday night, everything went smoothly. And there were lots of people dressed up on Saturday night in 1920s here.
It was great. I had a great time.
Yeah, and the kids had a great time. And they interacted with our guests, and I was so proud of them for doing it.
It was a lot of work.
Yes.
I saw that. So anybody who contributed, Barb and Barb Keeling with all the...
Where's Barb?
Yes.
Barb made all the costumes. Barb headed up the kitchen. She did it all. And I'll have a progress report when I'm a few days down the road, because I'm still doing numbers on it. But I'll let you know what the exact numbers are probably next week.
Great. Thank you. Sean, any visitors today?
We do have visitors. We have the esteemed guest from the Covington Rotary, Mr. Tony Zimbro.
Yes. He'd like to say a few words.
Tony, you want to tell us what you do these days? Maybe you have an announcement for us. I do have an announcement. President, Commissioner.
Please.
Look at that. They must be formal down at Covington. Will you yield, or you need another Band-Aid on your head?
2 minutes in, I got it.
Covington Rotary has worked with your club over the years in the group study exchange. You'll recall that we did these for maybe 10 or 15 years, and they kind of slowed down. And right now, Rotary International is doing a program called Open World. And Covington Club has been awarded the ability to take 7 people from Russia in here from September the 27th to October the 5th. And it's going to be focused on watershed management. And we have Orsenko, the Ohio River group, and Thomas More University with the biology field station, which is going to put a program around this. But we're going to need beds for these 7 people. So if anybody here might like to have some Russians staying at their house, come talk to me. We want people to come to parties. Do you have any people who speak Russian? That would be excellent, because we would like to make them feel at home. We will have an official interpreter, but this program is the new program that Rotary, for me, the new program Rotary International has done called Open World. If you need any information, I'll be happy to give it to anyone who wants it.
Thank you, Mr. Zimbro.
Thank you, Mr. Zimbro. We used to have that one politician, she could see Russia from her back door. I think she was in Alaska, though, I don't know. Well, we also have another visitor, Bart Mandela is back with us. Bart, how are you? Are you a member yet, Bart?
I wish I was two ways.
All right, there's no way to get to John's place. Big or gay, let's move on.
Just kind of sneak in there. So John's, probably everybody knows, he's been retired since the first of the year. He's growing his hair, cleaning his hard, and taking a tree in Thailand. But I'm working out at Burlington still. My brother-in-law Louis hasn't relocated me yet. But I'm working with Josh Fashion, which is John A.
Love to have
Art is with Lindeman Funeral Home, and we were working with John Gay before he left on bourbon and burials.
Bourbon and
I
burials.
don't know which one came first. We have Maria Ulia. Where's Maria? How'd I do, Maria? Oh, just like family. Pronounce your last name for me, Maria.
Uyoa?
Ulia.
The two L's turn into a Y sound. It's Spanish. So my name is Maria, and I'm the co-owner of Ingenuity Solutions, and we're a small business service provider. So anything, we can fill in the gap whenever, we like to work with the micro and small businesses. So anything from like accounting to, web design, things like that, we can go in and fill some of those gaps in.
Very good. Welcome to the Florence Road. Wink is here. He's a new individual working with Heritage Bank. Tom, tell us all about you.
Been in banking for 30 years, joined the bank 4 days ago, last Wednesday, so I'll be working with Peter and the team, Peter, Pam, and working on public funds.
Where will you be located, Tom?
A little bit of everywhere, but mostly out of Burlington.
All right. Welcome, Tom. You also have board members that attend this meeting, Tom, so it's good to wear a suit. Yeah. All right, on the national scene, we had, let me see, we had a couple guys get together in Korea. There was the bad haircut boy. I'm not sure how that worked out, but I hear the North Korean fellow is going to Moscow, so we might have some kind of connection there too. Then we had the, let me see, what else did we have there? Oh, we had a lawyer on the road say that he didn't tell the truth. I'll just leave it at that. Sorry, Ed, this is your first meeting in how many months? Sorry, Ed. William Tell, Shakespeare. Then we had NKU, conference champions again. Way to go to the We have Dennis's Bearcats in the top 20. Peter too. The Bearcats are in there and on a roll now. Welcome, good job, UC. Yeah. We also had our beloved person that does it all for the flappers and the dancers and everything. And her Bob Tech beat the dudes. So anybody beat the dudes, it's good news. Except for that guy from the Covington Road who came in here with his dude jacket on. Mr. Zimbro, we'd love to have you come anytime. All right. That other fellow there. Yeah. Let me see what else. Oh, the University of Kentucky initiated their freshman kittens program again over the weekend. So it's up against the Orange, and there's. I kind of like that tune Rocky Top, but I'd rather not hear that often. That's about all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sean.
Hey, what about Thomas More Women?
Thomas More Women have won their first 2 games in the playoffs, and kind of rocky, but they pulled it through, so we're good. They're still undefeated.
They're playing a good Friday and Saturday night on campus.
There you go. Well, then I guess we better talk about our Walton Verona Bearcats. The Covington County Colonels are back in the state tournament, and I guess the girls have.
Campbells are also.
Did Ryle and Dixie Heights play yet? The girls play tonight. Thanks, Bob.
Campbell County is also in the state tournament.
Where's that?
I don't know.
Do they have the Rotary Club? Well, you're a governor. I forgot.
I've got over the river thing.
There you go. That licking is mighty wise.
I would like to mention.
Yes, I was going to call on you next.
Northern will play on November the 6th. November 6th.
No.
They'll play this Wednesday night, which is March 6th. They play Detroit. They played Detroit twice and beat them twice this year. Detroit, as a freshman, who's the second leading scorer in the country in Division I. And Doug Davis, his dad, Michael Davis, is the coach at Detroit. He used to be the coach in Indiana. So it's a fun game, and we're looking forward to spanking them again.
Here. Would you like to talk about the multi-district conference?
Now, the multi-district conference on your table, there's some flyers on there, some in color, and Son Jim printed in black and white.
At least I brought some.
That the conference is
Come around.
it's in Gothenburg, it's a destination place. So it's April the 5th through the 7th. You have, until March the 12th to register for that, multi-district conference. That will be with, District 60, 70, 80 in Tennessee, which is the district of John Jern and past Chair Nation President John Jern, past Chair Nation President Jim Lake. And, it's a great time to see Rotary, big-time Rotary, and 6780 will show you. It's a good place, good destination. And if you remember, during the forest fire, when you saw the fire, I kept showing that picture in that hotel. That's the hotel where the conference is.
Thank you, John. Mr. Popple, could you update us on the senior exit interview, please?
Our high school both reached out to us to service panelists for senior presentations and exit interviews. Kipro High School is the last weekend in March, and then Boone County is theirs the last week in March and then the first week in April. We're doing pretty good with Kipro High School. Boone County, we could use a little bit of help. I'm going to pass these around. Any slot that you see in yellow is an open slot. So if you're interested to have time, provide your first name, last name, email address, and I'll collect these after the meeting. I'll input your information into Sign Up Genius so that you'll get an email notice and a reminder when it gets closer to your date of volunteering.
Thanks for helping us with that. Appreciate it.
And thank you to everybody who signed up for.
And if you're signed up, it's not going to say your name necessarily on that sheet, but remember, it's still in Sign Up Genius, so you are already scheduled. So in the spirit of trying to get our speakers as much time as possible, I'd like to introduce Tony Aloise. He's going to be speaking about life of the person. Tony completed a 35-year career in supply chain management at Procter & Gamble in 2011. Since then, he has dedicated his retirement to serving people in need through life skills and mentoring solutions. He believes that people should live, work, and serve to their purpose, passion, and potential. He founded the Life Solutions Network in 2013 to multiply his efforts. Tony's work touched 50 organizations and countless individuals over last year. Without further ado, come take the stage. Thank you.
I didn't ask for more time, by the way.
I'm not much of a podium person. Has anyone recently told you that you are extraordinary? That there is a spark of greatness within you? That you're destined for something remarkable? These are the kind of people I hope you have in your life. We all deserve that. We deserve that when we're young. We deserve that as moms and dads. We deserve that as retirees. I choose to serve people who are hurting, people who deserve a second chance in life, people coming out of jail, recovery, all kinds of crazy problems in life. I find that so many people forget or never knew who they were. I suspect that we who are more privileged and blessed have the same kind of opportunities in my life, in your lives. And so I'm here to talk about discovering or rediscovering your treasure. And if you can't tell, those are a little bit of gold nuggets there, all right? And those are the things I like to talk about. I went through my whole life and I never volunteered. Something happened and I became a full-time volunteer. I can't explain it. it does feel like a calling to me. It started with financial literacy. It moved to job and career coaching, and now I'm talking about purpose, values, vision. That is my passion today. It's the thing that gets me out of bed every single day. I had passion at work. I loved 34 of my 35 years at P&G. I did have one bad year. I won't forget that, by the way. But I loved it so much. I would come home on a Friday afternoon and I couldn't wait to keep going. I had some spark of an idea and I would just keep going. I was fearful I would not find that passion in retirement. I'm happy to tell you, not only did I find passion, I found purpose in passion. I don't think you should wait till you're 60 years old, though, to find that purpose and passion. It's not a common story for us, right? We don't learn purpose all the time from our parents. We certainly did. I didn't learn it in school. It was a rather new concept for me, but it's really helped fulfill me and change the way I think about my life. And I'm going to start you off with some questions, some rhetorical questions. So I'd like you to read through those 10 questions to yourself quickly. And I'd like you to tell me how many you think you can answer yes to today. And you're welcome to have copies of the slides if you send me an email. Anybody coming up with 10? 9 or 8? High number? How about a high number? A hand for a high number? I had somebody in an audience one day had all 10. I don't even know if you like the questions. For some people, these questions give you a headache. This is not your thing. This is not how you think. I think this time, a time of reflection and introspection is valuable, though, to us in our lives. And as we work with our family members and friends, it's not the typical conversation we have. We like to talk about the weather and the basketball score more than we like to talk about something really deep. And so I want to move you to these things that I believe are very, very deep in our lives and very meaningful to you in your lives. I think I've read every book on purpose I could possibly find. And every book says there's a formula to finding purpose. And I suspect that there is. And I think there was somewhat of a formula for me, but I've come to see it more as a recipe. It's a set of ingredients. And those ingredients are the things that you see on the page here. Passion, personality, potentials, and desires. And that's what I want to speak to you about today. It's about knowing yourself deeply. That's the prelude to purpose. So I don't think purpose just pops out. I think purpose is the result of discovery and knowing who you are. And those things that you see in blue, roles, energy, beliefs, vision, etc., those are the kind of things I like people to think about in their lives. And I'm going to walk through them very, very quickly. You will not end up with a purpose statement today. How many of you have a written purpose statement in your life? Or a mission statement? I see one hand in the back. It's uncommon. I'm sure there's more people in the room who have one, right? Something guides you. It might not be as clear to some people. My purpose, if I could state it to you, is I serve to give hope and encouragement by adding value and meaning to people's lives, all for the glory of God. And that's how I live every day. It took me 60 years to find that purpose, and it took me a couple of years of retirement to play around with words that were meaningful to me. And eventually I found a purpose statement that worked for me in every single one of my life roles. And when that occurred, it was an incredible transformation. It was a big thing. And so it takes time to discover that. On this slide, I want to talk to you about my significant experience, though. So I have 4 kids. And you know, if you have enough kids, one's really great and one's not so great. And I had a third son who was a handful. He was a bad kid. All kinds of stuff was going on in our house that I did not agree with. And Chris, my son, he knows I talk about him, by the way, which is fine. Chris ultimately got to a point in our lives where we had to decide to kick him out of the house. It was going to be my marriage or my son. And we did. We kicked him out of the house. But this is not the story about Chris. This is my story. This is my significant experience. See, someplace along the way, I learned that I had to change from being a demanding parent to a caring mentor. Can you imagine demanding parent? When I say those words, what comes to mind, right? Yelling, right? This is my house, follow my rules. I broke his door down to his bedroom one day. It's not a pretty sight. Right? My transformation was becoming a more caring mentor, and that transformation kept Chris in my life. Chris has been my best friend since he's been 20 years old. This summer, he moved 2 doors away from me with his wife and my grandson. It's an incredible thing. Guess what I do in retirement? I mentor. That significant experience caused me to see how powerful it was, and that I could learn it. And that's what I'm talking about when we think about purpose. See, you all have significant experiences too that have shaped your lives, but I don't know that you know what they are so deeply like that. I'm sure you know the word vision. Part dreaming, part idealism, part direction. I'm going to talk about a couple of vision statements to see if they work in your life. My personal vision statement is on the physical domain. You know, I like to think about heart, mind, body, and soul, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. You know, on the body side, I say my vision is I can wrestle with my great-grandkids on the floor. Now, see, my memory is that's what I did with my kids, and that's what I did, right, with my grandkids, and that's what I hope to do with my great-grandkids. See, I'm not a great-grandfather yet. My oldest granddaughter is 13. Maybe in 5, 10 years, I will be a great-grandfather. You know, as you approach 70 and 75 years old, getting off the floor might be a big deal. But this vision is because of what happened in my life with my kids and how many memories, that kinds of things. It's a big thing. And guess what I do because of that? I keep myself in shape, exercise. I try to do that are going to help me in the. Now, I happen to believe that most of that New Year's resolutions, right? We don't always follow through on those New Year's resolutions. We don't always follow through on our goal. The weak spot is a vision that goes along with the goal. I want to be in shape, and yes, I need to eat. We don't like to do, but I really, with my great-grandkids on the floor, it affects me in the why behind the goal. And so I want to talk about one with you. My home is warm and is family and friends. Can you identify this? So if I say that to you, what room of the house are you sitting in? Holler it out, please.
Kitchen.
Kitchen. Family room. Front porch, anybody? Back porch, deck, swimming pool, right? All these places, you get a picture in your mind when I say that, right? And what are you doing there? Talking. Laughing. Eating. Watching the game. Playing the game, right? You're doing all kinds of things. So as soon as I say my home is warm and inviting to family and friends, you start to think of this. If that's true, then what are the goals now? And I just love to build a cheap fire pit you can hang out in the back happens to be. See, I'm sitting in the kitchen in my vision, and the kitchen is the smallest room in my house. 4 people can sit at a time. But it's bright. It's the place I like to be. And I smell something in the oven. And I smell pizza. See, I like to make pizza on Saturday night. I like to I like to treat my friends to a meal. That's one of my favorite things to do since I can make it. See, I believe visions come alive when you can see them, smell them, hear them, touch them, believe them, and they touch you emotionally. And I ask you today, how many of you truly have a vision statement in your life? Right? Vision statement, it's not just, whatever it is, where are you going in your life? And those are important. Say to you, it's easier than purpose, but it's integrated with the way you think of it. And I need to move on, though. You can feel free to interrupt me, though, at any point in time. I have a crystal ball, we the future. What I believe, we become what we think and believe. And if I believe with my great-grandkids on the floor, I believe that might happen. Things happen as the beliefs we have. Beliefs about God, beliefs about family, and beliefs about work and relationships, and you pick it. There's 101 things we can have beliefs about. I believe that people shouldn't drive slow in the left-hand lane of I-75. What do you think? Right? In fact, it's the law which says slow traffic to the right. But crazy things happen because of that. Can you imagine me behind the wheel on a given day and how I feel when I approach this car in front of me? Right? All kinds of things happen. And some days I'm calm, and some days I have road rage. All kinds of things happen. Because of our beliefs, we have these emotions, and these emotions lead us to interesting actions in our lives, some of which are good and some of which are not good. And I don't have enough time in the world today to talk about beliefs with you. I actually do a workshop on uncovering beliefs, but I refer you to a book. The title is provocative. The Mind-Made Prison. Can you imagine that our minds are in prison because of the beliefs that we have? And once you know what that belief is, you now have a choice to start unraveling that belief and substituting a new belief. Right? It's very powerful stuff. It's the stuff that's deep, that's your treasure. And you wouldn't even know what all the beliefs you are. Our actions just pop out because most of these are unconscious almost every day. I believe that people should be trusted until they're proven untrustworthy. But I know people who believe the opposite, that you will have to earn my trust. I believe that people are trying to do their best. I'm sitting in the restaurant and I'm getting poor service today. Maybe the server's not going to get a tip. But if I believe that people are trying to do their best, maybe management didn't call in another server because somebody called in sick, and this server is just the victim of the situation. And the belief keeps me happy for that evening, right? I believe my wife is quality time, especially if we're in the car, radio's off, she can't escape, the doors were closed, right? I love that time. We drive through Crescent Springs and my wife complains about the stoplights every single time. They're not timed right. Somebody designed this intersection wrong, right? She doesn't have the same belief as I do, right? And so she sees the world in a certain way, and I see the world in a certain way, right? And I've come to understand and appreciate that. Now, we don't have enough time today to explore it, but this is where our stress comes from, right? Stress is the outcome of belief that is not really, or you have the opportunity to change it, if you will. Another gold nugget, values. Purpose is being. Purpose describes who you. Vision is seeing. Values are choosing. What's important to our life? Today, shout out one of your values. It's either on this list or it's something else that's not even on this page. What's it? Shout it out. Honesty, integrity.
last 4 words of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay?
And justice for all.
Okay?
Committed.
Committed, right? All kinds of stuff, right? What are your core values? What are those values that you will never compromise? Values cause you to take action, whether you know it or not. Example, we all have a value of respect, and you're in a situation in which some stranger is disrespecting a family member, your wife, husband, parent. How do you think you feel? All of a sudden, something's going on inside of you, and do you think you're just going to sit there and take it? You're probably going to do something, hopefully not a fight, but you're probably going to say something. Values cause us to take action. If you have a value of justice, your value is different than if you have a value of honesty. They're related, but they're different kinds of values. I've done values classes with people, and there'll be 20 people in the room, and we pick 3 values that are core size, and nobody has the same 3 top values ever. Hard to believe, right? That is how different we are. But your goal is knowing the values because it is affecting your life. It's important for you to know those kinds of things. Another nugget, know your strengths. I think this is a more typical work-related thing. And I'm just going to offer a slight tangent to the strengths. I hope you know your strengths. Read the Strength Finder book. Take the test. But at some level, somebody might say, I'm a really good driver. Right? And that could be a strength of yours. And you may conclude that becoming a truck driver or taxi driver is a good place to work. But if you knew that your skill was, I have the ability to anticipate problems, what was your truth? Don't you affect your life in roles? And I ask you, what are your strengths? I ask you to know what they are, right? I don't have time to discover them with you. You know, I'm a supply chain manager by work experience. I use all of my skills in retirement, and it's an incredible feeling. But I do know supply chain management as a choice I've made in my life. But I've uncovered those skills that I've had to get me along. Problem solving, the need for creativity in different things. The last one I want to do with you is your needs. Right, so I've taken you through things like vision and strengths and values. We all have needs to satisfy. First of all, needs to survive. That's not really what I want to focus on. You know, we need food, clothing, and shelter. If people are in a situation of abuse, homeless, right, people aren't thinking about purpose. It's more about survival. Remember Maslow, hierarchy of needs? We're at the top of the triangle when I'm talking about some of these things. But what are your needs to thrive? What makes today a great day for you, and how would you know it? I need to get out of the house several days a week. It's important to me. There's social time, there's intellectual time for me to do that. My wife can sit in her easy chair when I leave her in the morning, and when I come back, she's still in the same easy chair. She loves to crochet. She's an artist. She loves that side of life. She does not have to get out of the house the same way I do. That's a different need. We have needs to thrive. I need time to pray. I need time for silence. I need time to myself every day. Right? I need to use my brain. Heart, mind, body, and soul. Right? Emotional needs, intellectual needs, physical needs, and spiritual needs. You know, we don't talk about the soul very much anymore. It's one of those things in church. It's a church thing, right? You don't read that in a newspaper. You know, a resume is really poor comfort to us on a night that we're sad, lonely, or broke. And the soul, the spiritual side, requires a nourishing just like everything else in our life. Okay? My favorite spiritual author, Richard Rohr, says, be an adventurous seeker of love and mystery. It guides me every day to think about how I live and satisfy that spiritual need in my life. Now, I'm getting close to the end and I need to turn a corner with you. A corner that takes another half hour, but I'm just going to tease you with it today. going to ask you a few questions. Do you think a sports coach has a game plan? Do you think a project manager has a project plan? Business manager, business owner has a business plan? And I ask you, do you each have a life plan? And why is it that we spend more time planning our vacation than our vocation? And I suggest to you that development of a life plan includes the things we've been talking about. But add to it a career plan, add to it a budget, add to it goals, add whatever you want to it in a way that makes it rich for you. I believe we should live to our potential. I believe living to our potential requires some degree of intentionality. And I can show you a life plan if you want, but it's more of a concept than it is an exact thing. And lastly, to close it out, it's not about thinking, right? We can think ourselves to death on this, right? And you might like the thinking side, but it requires action. And that action is every day. If you stay consistent with your vision and goals and your purpose, you will transform yourself and you will change the world. Brian Tracy has a really interesting video called Eat That Frog. All I'm going to do is say, go to YouTube and watch this 1 minute and 30-second video, very, very short. I see that as an element of living to your potential. Anyway, first of all, let me kind of wrap up. I will still take time for questions. I think we have some time if you want to. I appreciate your time and attention today. I founded the Life Solutions Network several years ago to continue this journey of multiplying my efforts on life skills and mentoring solutions. We're a very non-traditional nonprofit. I'm not a 501c3 because I don't take any money. It's a choice I made in retirement. I've been blessed in retirement. I choose a different model. Last year I had 30 volunteers work with me. We touched 50 organizations. This last year we started up the Greater Cincinnati Mentor Leadership Alliance, touching all the mentoring organizations across the Greater Cincinnati. 30 organizations are working together in a completely different way to elevate how we do these kinds of things. My passion within mentoring is mentoring for purpose, and that's why I speak to you today. So, I'm at the end, but I want to see if there's any questions.
Questions? Yes, Frank.
So, kind of got to go back a little bit just for me. So, as far as speaking opportunities and things like that, if businesses and local folks are interested in having you speak, we just get in touch with you and there's no cost associated with that. Is that what I'm hearing?
I never charge. I would consider speaking if you send me an email,
Okay.
but my speaking events are almost always targeted to people in need.
Okay.
So at Life Learning Center, Mentoring Plus, Cincinnati Youth Collaborative, there are people who need to hear a different kinds of message, and this is why I bring that message there. I'm not saying no, depending on when you catch me, okay? And I have a flyer on my website if you want to see my speaking events, okay?
John, what is your take on Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life? Have you read it?
I have. I'm a Catholic. Rick is a little too biblical for me. But the essence of his book is perfect. My favorite book, by the way, is Matthew Kelly's book, Living Life with Purpose and Passion, The Rhythm of Life. But they're all good in their own way. You know, my life has a spiritual side. I didn't say this when I talked about my purpose. My secret sauce is spirituality, service, and solutions. And whether it's good or bad, I find God in my service more than I find God in church. And so that adventure of my life is still unfolding, but it's an incredible thing, and many, many people have shaped me. Thanks for asking the question, by the way. The Rhythm of Life, Matthew Kelly. Book was The Purpose-Driven Life. Yep. I like that one too. So.
Another question for Tony? Yes.
Has anyone invited you to join Rotary?
They have. You know, I think I've spoken at all the Rotaries. I haven't made a commitment today, but I certainly today, it crossed my mind that I should give it serious consideration, though. So,
We're service above self.
I certainly know that.
There you go. And I'm a Catholic and not very biblical either. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
That was fast, so thank you. Thanks for coming to speak today. Does anybody else have any announcements? I know I blew through them pretty quickly. Mr. Aaron.
I want to talk about the vocational team service project every year, which is the police luncheon. And we've kind of done ad hoc ways of financing that in the past. This year at our team leader meeting, we decided that we would have the club members to help us. So in the next few weeks, you're at the desk to buy your lunch and have an opportunity to buy lunch for a cop. And so if you want to do that, we would encourage you to do that, and that'll help us raise some funds so we can try to meet this year's project, May 15th or thereabouts.
Okay, and then did we put a total amount that we want to try to achieve throughout the next 2 months? Somewhere in between, or are we still working on that?
We're still working on that.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Thank you, Donald.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I do have an announcement, Living Funeral Homes, the event center, funeral home in Burleson, a public event free of charge. If you have anybody that would like to hear what Mr. Parker Clifton, he's an elder law attorney, has to say concerning elder law, and one of our associates, Nanda Strasburger, she's going to have an informative presentation about pre-planning and their elder lodge tomorrow at our Burlington location. Again, we're kind of taking phone calls just to kind of plan food and things like that. It starts at 11:30. It's going to be about an hour or so right off the 18th.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?